My ex-wife got married 6 months after our divorce. Vineyard wedding. Everything looked perfect until one guest's toast tore it all apart. She had no idea it was coming. I did. Then she called me, screaming. I was thousands of miles away, finally able to breathe. My name is Raymond Cole. I'm 54. I divorced my wife after nearly 3 decades, turned everything I could into cash that fit into 2 suitcases, and moved to Lisbon. There was no big confrontation, no shouting match in the driveway. Just divorce papers under a coffee mug, my house keys on top, and a note that said, "Everything's yours. I'm gone." Back in a major U.S. city, I was a commercial real estate developer. The money was good. The house was perfect. From the outside, we looked perfect. On the inside, I was slowly suffocating. My wife sold luxury real estate, and somewhere along the way, she started believing our life had to look exactly like the lifestyle she was selling. Nothing was ever enough. I stopped arguing around year 23. I started sleeping in my office around year 26. By year 28, I understood I was living with someone I no longer recognized. Despite sharing my last name and my mortgage, we had 2 kids. Olivia is 27 now and works as an investigative journalist in Chicago. She's sharp as a tack, got my skepticism and her mother's persistence. She saw through Catherine's act years before I finally found the nerve to leave. Then there's Jason, 24, a junior investment banker in the East Coast. Smart kid, but he bought into his mother's version of reality. He thought I was the problem. Cold, distant, emotionally unavailable. Just Catherine's words coming straight out of his mouth. 3 months before I left, I had a heart attack. Minor, but enough for my doctor to repeat one word. Stress. Minor, but enough for my doctor to repeat one word. Stress. I realized I could die in that house, and she might not notice, so I planned. Quietly, I moved my assets, structured everything legally, and made sure she kept the house, the lifestyle, and the debt. The morning I left, I drove to the airport alone. By the time she found the note, I was already over the Atlantic. For the first time in years, I felt peace. Lisbon had a rhythm I'd forgotten was possible. No stress, no pressure, just silence. And then, the message came. I got divorced and moved overseas. My ex-wife immediately married her new guy. I found out through a message from somebody I barely remembered, but that part comes later. Right now, I'm sitting on my balcony in Lisbon, watching the sunset turn the river to liquid gold. And I'm about to tell you what happened when Catherine's perfect new life slammed into the past she thought she had erased. Life in Lisbon had a rhythm I'd forgotten was even possible. No alarms, no conference calls, no Catherine's voice cutting through the morning asking why I picked the wrong brand of organic coffee. Just me, the Atlantic breeze, and a city that had survived earthquakes and still knew how to breathe. I'd been there about 4 months when a message came through. I was at my usual spot, a small cafe in Barro Alto. For months into Lisbon, I got an Instagram message from someone I hadn't heard from in decades. Catherine's getting married. Next month. Napa. Guy named Kevin Bradshaw. The message was short. Hey Raymond, long time. Not sure if you care, but thought you should know. Catherine's getting married. Next month. Vineyard wedding up in Napa. Guy named Kevin Bradshaw. Owns a bunch of car dealerships. Figured you'd want a heads up. Take care, man. I read it twice. Set my phone down. Picked up my espresso. And kept drinking. Something clicked. Cold. Precise. And that's when I realized this wedding wasn't going to end the way she expected. Kevin Bradshaw. I knew the name. Flashy guy. Always showed up at real estate industry events in expensive suits that tried a little too hard. Drove a different luxury car every quarter. Like he was running his own private showroom. He'd flirted with Catherine at a charity gala 3 years ago. I remembered because she laughed a little too loud at his jokes. The kind of laugh that's meant to be heard. I opened my laptop. Her Instagram was public because of course it was. Catherine lived for attention. The feed was exactly what I expected. Engagement photos that looked like they cost 5 figures. Her in white, him in navy. both of them holding champagne flutes against a sunset that was clearly edited. The captions read like poetry written by someone who'd never actually read poetry. When finally found my forever. Some people are worth the wait. I scrolled through the comments. Friends congratulating her. Clients trying to stay in her good graces. A few brave people asking some version of what happened to Raymond. Those comments were gone, but the gaps in the numbers gave them away. Then I saw the location. A private vineyard venue. A vineyard in California. Something clicked in my head, cold and precise. I closed Instagram and opened my files. Took me about 10 minutes to find it. Buried in a folder labeled Old Projects. There it was. A brochure from 15 years ago. A private vineyard venue investment opportunity. Catherine and I had driven up there one weekend, back when we still did weekends together. She hated it. Said it was too quiet, too rustic, not her kind of place. I flipped through the PDF until I found the page I was looking for. A section on event hosting technical specifications. And there it was in small print under the acoustic engineering notes. Outdoor venues may experience significant echo. Professional sound systems recommended for speeches and toasts. Equipment testing advised. I leaned back in my chair. Manuel came over with more coffee. I thanked him in my rough Portuguese. He laughed and patted my shoulder. The wedding was in 3 weeks. Catherine was marrying Kevin Bradshaw at a venue with acoustics that could carry a whisper across 100 yards. And she had just made it public, complete with venue details and a hashtag. I pulled up my contacts, found a number I hadn't used in years, and made one call, asked for one favor, one name added to a guest list. That was all it took. I thanked him, hung up, and finished my coffee. The sun was dropping over the tees, turning everything gold and orange. I wasn't going to the wedding. I didn't need to, but I was going to make sure it was memorable. Olivia called me 2 days after I spoke with Richard. It was early morning in Lisbon, which meant late evening in a Midwest city. She never called without a reason. My daughter got my habit of getting straight to the point. Dad, she said when I answered, no greeting. I saw Mom's Instagram. The wedding. Kevin Bradshaw. You know about this. I stepped out onto my balcony, phone pressed to my ear. Down below, a street musician was setting up his accordion. I know. And what? And are you okay? Her voice softened a little, the way it always did when she was trying to read what I wasn't saying. I'm fine, sweetheart. Better than fine. Your mother's choices aren't my concern anymore. There was silence on the other end. Then she said, Jason's going. He's one of the groomsmen. That caught me off guard. I set my coffee down. He's what? Kevin asked him personally. Mom made it sound like a big deal. Blending families, new beginnings. Jason bought into it completely. He thinks this proves Mom's moved on to something better. I closed my eyes. My son, 24 years old. Smart enough to read market trends, but unable to see things clearly when it came to his mother. And you? I got an invitation. Very formal. Very Catherine. I sent my regrets. She paused. Dad, I've been digging into something. Kevin Bradshaw's dealerships. Something's off. That was Olivia. Best investigative journalist in a Midwest city. She saw patterns where most people just saw noise. What did you find? Nothing solid yet. But the pattern doesn't add up. His expansion timeline doesn't match his reported revenue. He opened 3 new locations in 18 months. That takes serious capital. His credit lines are maxed out. I think he's using new investor money to cover old debt. Classic pyramid setup. How long before it falls apart? 3 months. Maybe 4. There's also a lawsuit coming. A former partner claiming fraud. It's being kept quiet, but I found the filings. I looked out over the T's. A cargo ship was moving slowly toward the Atlantic. Steady. Unhurried. Does your mother know? Of course not. She sees the cars, the houses, the lifestyle. She never looks under the surface. Olivia's voice hardened a bit. Dad, Jason's tied to this now. If Kevin goes down publicly, it's going to hit everyone connected to him. Jason's bank isn't going to like their junior analyst being linked to a fraud case. What are you thinking? I'm thinking, she said slowly, that the right information needs to surface at the right time. Before Jason gets in any deeper. I smiled. My daughter, 27, already thinking 3 steps ahead. You know, I can't be involved in anything that looks like sabotage. I know. But you also taught me the truth doesn't need help. It just needs timing. She paused. I'm flying to Napa. I told Mom I changed my mind, that I want to support her new beginning. Olivia. Dad, Jason's my brother. He's being an idiot, but he's my idiot. If this wedding is going to be memorable, I want him to see what's really going on before it's too late. I stayed quiet for a moment. Then I said, be careful. Always am. I could hear the smile in her voice. Oh, and Dad, that favor you called in with Richard Palmer, the caterer. How did you? I'm an investigative journalist. It's literally my job. I saw the addition to the guest list. Charles Whitaker, +1. Very subtle. She laughed. I like it. Old school. Clean. I have no idea what you're talking about. Sure you don't. Love you, Dad. Love you too, sweetheart. After she hung up, I sat on my balcony for a long time. The musician below started playing something slow and a little sad. Tourists stopped to listen. The sun climbed higher. My daughter was heading to her mother's wedding, not to celebrate, but to document. And somewhere in Napa, a man named Charles Whitaker was about to become the most important guest no one remembered inviting. Jason called 3 days before the wedding. I almost didn't pick up. We hadn't spoken since I left. He'd sent one email. Short, cold. Said he was disappointed in how I handled things. No questions. No interest in my side. Just judgment, wrapped in Catherine's words. But I answered that. His voice was stiff, formal. The voice he probably used with clients. Jason. Silence stretched between us like a canyon. Finally, he spoke. I'm calling because I think you should know. I'm standing up at Mom's wedding. Kevin asked me himself. Olivia mentioned that. She did? He sounded surprised. She's coming too. Changed her mind last minute. I thought maybe you. I had nothing to do with that. Your sister makes her own choices. More silence. Then he said, Kevin's a good guy, Dad. Successful. Treats Mom right. He's everything she deserves. The words just hung there. Everything she deserves. Everything I wasn't. I held back my first reaction and chose my words carefully. I'm glad your mother's happy. I really am. Are you? The edge in his voice was obvious. Because it sounds like you just bailed. Walked away from everything. From us. I walked away from a marriage that was killing me, Jason. Not from you or your sister. Could have fooled me. You left a note on the counter like you were quitting a job. I stood up and started pacing. Your mother and I were together nearly 3 decades. For 23 of those, I was trying to be enough. Trying to meet standards that kept changing every time I got close. I had a heart attack, Jason. Minor but real. The doctor told me stress was going to finish what genetics started. So I made a choice. By running away, by saving my own life. My voice came out harder now. And if you think that's weakness, then your mother taught you well. He went quiet. I could hear traffic in the background. The East Coast noise. Jason, I said softer this time. I know Kevin. Not well, but enough. Just promise me something. When you're standing there watching your mother get married, pay attention. Not to what people say. To what they don't say. What's that supposed to mean? It means the best investors ask questions. They verify. They look at fundamentals, not just performance. I paused. You're good at that. Don't stop doing it just because it's family. I don't need career advice, Dad. I'm not talking about your career. I'm talking about your judgment. I walked back out onto the balcony. Kevin Bradshaw has built something impressive. Very impressive. Ask yourself how he did it. Ask yourself if the numbers actually make sense. You're trying to poison this. I'm trying to protect you. There's a difference. From what? From being collateral damage when performance doesn't match reality. Jason stayed quiet for a long moment. Then he said, I have to go. Rehearsal dinners in a few days. I need to work on my toast. Jason. Goodbye, Dad. The line went dead. I set my phone down and looked out over Lisbon. The city was fully awake now. filling with sound, movement, life. Somewhere in the East Coast, my son was angry at me for leaving. Somewhere in a Midwest city, my daughter was packing a bag, getting ready to document a disaster. And somewhere in a vineyard in California, Catherine was about to marry a man whose empire was already starting to crack underneath him. I picked up my phone again and sent Olivia one text. "Keep an eye on your brother." Her reply came right away. "Already on it." The rehearsal dinner happened without me, but Olivia kept me updated like she was covering breaking news. Short messages, clean observations, no emotion, just facts. Arrived. Catherine looks nervous. Kevin's overcompensating. Jason's toast was all about new beginnings. Didn't mention you once. Charles Whitaker just introduced himself to Kevin. Said he's an old family friend. Kevin bought it. That last message made me smile. I was sitting in my apartment in Lisbon, drinking port and watching the river traffic. The image of Kevin Bradshaw shaking hands with a ghost felt satisfying in a way I couldn't quite explain. Olivia called about an hour later. I could hear music and voices behind her. "He's perfect, Dad," she said quietly. I could tell she'd stepped outside. Mid-70s. Looks like someone's grandfather. He's got this whole story about knowing Catherine's family from back east. Completely made up, but he sells it like it's real. "I don't know anyone named Charles Whitaker," I said carefully. She laughed. "Right. Of course you don't." Anyway, Kevin introduced him to Catherine. She looked confused for maybe 3 seconds, then smiled and played along. You know how she is. Never admits she doesn't recognize something. "How's your brother?" The pause told me enough. "He's all in, Dad." He gave this toast about how Kevin represents everything a real man should be. Successful, confident, committed. The implication wasn't subtle. "And you?" I smiled, clapped, played the supportive daughter. Then I spent 20 minutes in the bathroom pulling public records on my phone. Kevin's dealerships filed for an extension on their quarterly reports. That's never a good sign. His main lender cut his credit line last month. And there's a former partner about to file a civil fraud suit. I sat up straighter. How soon? The filing date is set for 2 weeks after the wedding, but the early documents are already making their way through legal circles. If Jason's bank hears about it before the wedding, they might start questioning his judgment. Does Catherine know any of this? Are you serious? She's too busy planning the reception choreography. She actually has a schedule for when people are supposed to cry during her vows. I saw it. Color-coded. I could picture it perfectly. Catherine turning her wedding into a full production. Every moment staged for maximum effect. What about Clark? What's his role in all this? He's giving a toast tomorrow. At the reception, he specifically asked for a slot. Said he wanted to honor old friendships and new beginnings. The wedding planner loved it. Catherine approved it without asking a single question. And Kevin? Kevin thinks it's a nice touch. Traditional. Classy. He has no idea what's coming. Olivia's voice shifted, more serious now. "Dad, what exactly did you tell Charlesto say?" "Nothing specific. I just suggested he speak from the heart. About truth. About foundations. About making sure what looks solid actually is solid." That's beautifully vague. I learned from the best corporate attorneys. She went quiet for a second. "Jason's sharing a room with one of Kevin's business partners. Guy named Todd. Investment banker type. I overheard them talking about a deal that fell apart last month. Kevin needed money fast. Todd mentioned something about creative accounting. Did Jason react? He brushed it off. Said all successful people push boundaries. That it's what separates winners from everyone else. Her voice tightened. Mom has influenced him more than he realizes. Just keep an eye on him tomorrow. When things get interesting. Define interesting. I think you'll recognize it when it happens. After we hung up, I stepped out onto my balcony. Lisbon was settling into its evening rhythm. Somewhere across the Atlantic, my daughter was getting ready to watch my ex-wife's perfect day start to crack. And somewhere in a vineyard in California, a man named Charles Whitaker was preparing to say exactly what needed to be said. I slept well that night, better than I had in years. By the time the wedding day came, everything was already in motion. The wedding was beautiful. Olivia sent photos. Catherine in an ivory gown that probably cost more than my first car. Kevin in a custom tux, looking like he belonged in a luxury car commercial. The vineyard covered in white fabric and flowers. Everything perfect. Everything staged. The ceremony went off without a hitch. Vows that sounded like they came straight out of a greeting card. Readings about love, partnership, forever. Jason stood next to Kevin, smiling like this was exactly how life was supposed to look. Then the reception started. Olivia's messages came quicker now. Speeches starting. Catherine's maid of honor cried right on cue. Kevin's brother joked about his expensive taste. Everyone laughed. Jason's up next. This might be rough. I waited. 5 minutes. 10. Then my phone rang. Dad. Olivia's voice was tight. Urgent. You need to hear this. I'm recording. I heard her shift the phone, and suddenly the reception came through. Jason's voice, clear and amplified by the venue's perfect acoustics. Kevin Bradshaw is the kind of man we should all look up to, my son said. He's built an empire through hard work and vision. He treats my mother like a queen. He's shown me what real success looks like. To Kevin and Catherine, may your future be as bright as your past is forgotten. As your past is forgotten. That part landed exactly how it was meant to. I was the past. The mistake. The thing they'd moved on from. Applause followed. Glasses clinking. Then Olivia came back on. Clark's up now. Here we go. The room quieted. I could hear it even through the phone. Someone cleared their throat. Then a voice, older, steady, the kind that makes people listen. Good evening, everyone. My name is Charles Whitaker, and I've known the Bradshaw family for many years. The lie came out smooth, effortless. I wanted to take a moment to celebrate this union, but also to talk about something that matters. Truth. The room got quieter. I could feel it through the line. Catherine, you look beautiful tonight. Kevin, you've clearly made quite an impression. He paused. I've been in business a long time. I've seen a lot of deals, a lot of partnerships, and the ones that actually last are built on solid foundations. Not appearances. Not promises. Foundations. He paused again. Longer this time. So I'd like to offer a toast to Catherine and her second chance at happiness. And to Raymond, wherever he is tonight, probably somewhere quiet, probably painting, probably finally able to breathe. His voice carried across the vineyard like it was made for it. Catherine, I hope you're sure you traded up, darling. Because from where I'm standing, it looks like you might have traded solid ground for quicksand. Dead silence. The kind that makes the air feel heavy. But hey, Charles went on, lighter now, what do I know? I'm just an old man who believes in asking questions. Like how someone opens 3 dealerships in 18 months without traditional financing. Or why a successful businessman needs to restructure his credit lines every quarter. Or what happens when the music stops and everyone's looking for a chair. I could hear movement now. Confusion. Someone trying to reach the microphone. Anyway, Charles said smoothly, wrapping it up, to the happy couple. May your forever be louder than your past. And may you both get exactly what you deserve. Then everything broke into noise. Catherine just ran out. Kevin's face is red. Jason looks like he just got hit by a truck. Half the room's on their phones. The other half is pretending none of this happened. Where's Catherine now? Outside. I can see her through the window. She's pacing. She just pulled out her phone. Olivia paused. Oh my God. She's calling someone. Dad, I think she's calling you. My phone buzzed. Catherine's name lit up the screen. A number I deleted, but still knew by heart. I need to go, I told Olivia. Dad, keep an eye on your brother. He's going to need you. I switched calls. Catherine. You? Her voice was shaking, tight with anger. You had someone crash my wedding. You set this up. You planted that man. I have no idea what you're talking about. I'm in a coastal European city. Don't lie to me. That speech, those questions. That was you. Was it? Or was it just someone asking questions that should have been asked months ago? She was breathing hard. I could picture her standing there in that expensive dress. Makeup perfect. Everything else falling apart. That was a weak move. You always were. Couldn't face me yourself, so you sent someone else to ruin my day. Your day isn't ruined because of me, Catherine. It's ruined because you built it on sand and called it bedrock. I can't believe you do this to me. I know. But that's not my problem anymore. I kept my voice steady. Go back to your wedding. Smile for the cameras. Do what you do best. Perform. Kevin will what? Defend you? Explain all that away? Catherine. The man can't even explain his own numbers. Good luck explaining your choices. She made a sound that was half sob, half scream. Then the call dropped. I set my phone down and looked out over Lisbon. The city lights reflected on the river like fallen stars that decided to stay. Across the Atlantic, my ex-wife's perfect wedding had just become something else entirely. And somewhere in that mess, my son was finally starting to ask the questions he should have asked months ago. The truth doesn't need permission to be heard. It just needs the right moment. And the right acoustics. The video hit the internet within hours. Someone at the wedding, probably one of the younger guests, recorded Clark's entire toast and uploaded it to TikTok. By morning in Lisbon, it had 500,000 views. By evening, over 3 million. The caption read, "Unexpected wedding toast shocks everyone. Wait for the ending." The comments were brutal. Did he really just ask if she traded up? That's cold. The way her face changes at 0:47, she knew. This man woke up and chose chaos. May your forever be louder than your past is the cleanest takedown I've ever heard. Someone made a compilation. Catherine's face frozen right at the moment Charles said trade it up. Zoomed in. Slowed down. Her smile breaking. Her champagne glass tilting. That realization spreading across her face like spilled ink. Within 24 hours, it turned into a meme. Catherine's wedding face was everywhere. Reddit, Twitter, Instagram. People using it for regret, bad decisions, instant karma. Side-by-side clips. Before and after. Even think pieces about wealthy people and their staged relationships. Olivia sent me links. Dad, this is everywhere. Mom's name is trending. Her real estate firm's getting calls. Clients are asking questions. I scrolled through it all. Felt nothing. No satisfaction. No guilt. Just that distant feeling of watching consequences show up right on time. Then Jason called. Dad. His voice was different. Smaller. We need to talk. I'm listening. Kevin's dealerships are being audited. The lawsuit Charles mentioned, it was filed yesterday. Former partner says Kevin used investor money to cover personal debt. The banks are freezing his assets. He paused. My firm called me in. Asked about my relationship with Kevin. Asked if I knew anything about his finances before the wedding. What did you tell them? The truth. That I didn't know. That I should have asked questions, but I didn't. His voice cracked a little. They're putting me on administrative leave. Pending investigation. They said my judgment is compromised. I closed my eyes. I'm sorry, son. Are you? There was something sharp in that. Because you knew. You knew this was coming. And you still let me walk straight into it. I warned you. I told you to look at the fundamentals. You called it sabotage. You could have just told me the truth instead of playing games with planted guests and vague warnings. Would you have listened? If I'd called you and said Kevin Bradshaw was a fraud, would you have believed me? Or would you have defended your mother and called me bitter? Silence. Long, heavy. I don't know, he finally said. Maybe you're right. Maybe I wouldn't have listened. He let out a shaky breath. Olivia's been helping me. She pulled everything, public records, lawsuits, foreclosures. The fraud pattern goes back 3 years. It was all there. I just didn't want to see it. Your mother has that effect on people. Makes you believe her version of things. She's not talking to me, Jason said quietly. I tried to call her. Asked if she knew about Kevin's situation. She said I was betraying her. That I was taking your side. Then she hung up. I'm sorry. The videos are everywhere, Dad. Everyone's seen them. People at work, friends. Everyone's asking if that's my mom. If I knew the wedding was going to fall apart. He let out a short, bitter laugh. I was the groomsman up there praising Kevin. That's in the videos too. Me calling him a model of success. It's already in those "this aged badly" clips. It'll pass. The internet moves on. Will it? Because my career might not. My judgment is out there for everyone to see. Who's going to trust me with financial decisions when I couldn't recognize a fraud right in front of me? I wanted to tell him everything would be fine, that he'd bounce back. But Jason was 24, and he was learning something most people don't learn until much later. Some mistakes stick. Some consequences don't care what you meant. Olivia's staying with me for a few days, he said. She's helping me figure out what to do next. She told me you taught her to verify everything. Never trust what things look like on the surface. She's a good sister. She is. He went quiet again. Dad, I was wrong about you, about why you left. I thought you were weak. You weren't. You just saw what I couldn't. And you got out before it destroyed you. It almost did. I had a heart attack, Jason. Minor but real. Your mother's chaos was wearing me down. I left to survive. I get it now. I'm sorry I didn't before. We talked for another 20 minutes. He asked about Lisbon, about my painting, about whether I was actually happy. I told him the truth, that leaving was the hardest decision I ever made, and the best one. When we hung up, I stood on my balcony watching fishing boats come back into the harbor. The sun was setting, turning everything gold. My son had called me dad again. He'd apologized. He'd finally seen past his mother's performance to what was real. Across the Atlantic, Catherine's perfect wedding had gone viral for all the wrong reasons. Kevin's empire was collapsing in real time, and my son was learning that sometimes the strongest thing you can do is walk away from people who refuse to see you clearly. I poured myself a glass of wine and raised it toward the ocean. To truth, I said out loud, and to having the courage to face it. Kevin Bradshaw's dealerships filed for bankruptcy 3 weeks after the wedding. The lawsuit went public. Investor fraud, embezzlement, accounting tricks that made even big scandals look small. The coverage was everywhere, and Catherine's name was in every headline. Wife of disgraced businessman Kevin Bradshaw. Luxury real estate agent tied to a fraud case. Her firm quietly asked her to take a leave of absence. Client calls dropped by most of her clients in a week. Olivia sent me the court documents. I read through them over coffee on my balcony. The house Catherine and Kevin bought together, 3 mortgages deep. The cars leased at rates that screamed desperation. The joint accounts drained by creditors within 48 hours of the bankruptcy filing. Everything Catherine thought she'd gained by marrying Kevin disappeared faster than it ever showed up. My phone rang. Olivia. Dad, you need to hear this. I just got off the phone with Mom. Her voice was tight, controlled. She's being sued. Kevin's creditors found out she received gifts and transfers during their short marriage. They're claiming she knew about the fraud, that she benefited from stolen investor money. Did she know? She says she didn't. But Dad, the evidence looks bad. Kevin bought her a car 2 weeks before the wedding. $40,000 in cash, from an account funded by investor money. Legally, she's on the hook. How much? $280,000. Plus legal fees. She paused. She doesn't have it. The house you left her. You remember all those refinances you set up before you left? The ones she didn't know about. Exactly. Turns out the house is worth less than what's owed. She can't sell without taking a loss. She can't borrow against it. She's stuck. What about Kevin? He's gone. Completely. His lawyers can't even find him. People think he ran somewhere without extradition. Brazil, maybe. Or Costa Rica. She let out a short, sharp laugh. Mom married him 6 months ago. Now she's alone with his debt. And a viral video that pops up every time someone searches her name. Has she asked you for help? She called Jason first. He told her he's dealing with his own situation after being tied to Kevin. Then she called me, asked if I could loan her money. I said no. How'd she take that? About how you'd expect. Said I was heartless. That family helps family. That she raised me better than that. Olivia's tone hardened. I told her she raised me to verify facts before making decisions. And that she should have verified Kevin before marrying him. That probably went over well. She hung up. then texted that I'm just like you. Cold, calculating, incapable of real love. She paused. I took it as a compliment. I smiled even if I tried not to. How's your brother? Better. His firm brought him back after 2 weeks. They reviewed everything and decided he had no real knowledge of Kevin's fraud. But his reputation took a hit. He's been moved to a smaller division. Less client exposure. Less visibility. It'll take time to earn that trust back. He will. He's smart. And he's tougher than he thinks. He is. And he's learning. He called me last night. Said he's been rethinking everything. About you. About Mom. Said he can't believe how blind he was. We all see what we want to see. Until we don't. Olivia went quiet for a moment. Then she said, Dad, there's something else. The video? It's being used in business schools now. Case study. Due diligence failure. How not to evaluate a partner. Mom's wedding is literally being taught as an example of what happens when you care more about image than substance. That's something. Is it? Because to me it feels like justice. She spent years building a life on appearances. Now everyone sees what happens when there's nothing underneath. We talked for another hour. She told me about a new investigation she was working on. Corporate fraud at a tech startup. Same pattern. Looking for the gap between what people claim and what they can actually prove. You taught me that, she said. You and the way you left. No noise. No threats. No drama. You just protected yourself, documented everything, and walked away. That's real strength. After we hung up, I sat there watching the Tees River. A cargo ship moved slowly toward the Atlantic. Steady. Patient. Catherine had lost everything she traded me for. Kevin was gone. Her career was damaged. Her reputation wrecked. Her finances a mess. And she'd done it all by choosing flash over something real. I didn't feel victorious. I felt tired. And grateful. Grateful I walked away when I did. Grateful the heart attack had been a warning. Not the end. Grateful for the quiet life I'd built on something solid. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. Starting therapy next week. Olivia recommended someone. I think I need to understand why I defended Mom for so long. Why I couldn't see what was right in front of me. Thanks for trying to warn me, even when I wouldn't listen. I typed back, *, proud of you, son. That takes real courage. *. His reply came right away. I learned from the best. 8 months after the wedding, things started settling into something that felt like normal. Kevin Bradshaw was indicted on 17 counts of investor fraud. Catherine sold the house at a heavy loss. Moved into a small apartment in a neighborhood she used to call transitional. Her real estate license was suspended while an ethics investigation moved forward. Jason started calling me every Sunday. We'd talk for an hour, sometimes longer. He was rebuilding slowly. His firm moved him into a different division. Smaller clients. Less prestige. He told me it was humbling, but necessary. I'm learning to ask questions I should have asked years ago, he said during one call. Not just about money. About people. About myself. That's growth. It's uncomfortable, but I think I needed it. He paused. I talked to Mom last week. She asked if I could help with rent. I said no. How'd that feel? Terrible. And right. She spent my whole childhood telling me family means sacrifice. But she never sacrificed anything herself. She just expected everyone else to carry her. You're learning boundaries. That matters. Olivia's been helping me with that. She's got boundaries like castle walls. He laughed. She told Mom straight up, *, I'm not your retirement plan or your emotional support. Figure it out. *, your sister's always been direct. She has, and I'm finally grateful for it. He went quiet for a second. Dad, I'm seeing someone. Her name's Amy. She's a teacher. Nothing flashy. Nothing complicated. She's just real. When I told her about everything, the wedding, Mom, all of it, she didn't judge. She just asked if I learned something. Smart woman. She is. I think you'd like her. Maybe when you come back to the States, you could meet her. I'd like that. Actually, I was thinking of coming to Lisbon. For a week, if that's okay. I want to see how you live. Understand what you built after you left. We picked dates. 3 months out. Jason would come stay for a week. I'd show him the cafe where I sketched, the beach where I swam, the quiet life that kept me steady. Olivia was doing well. Her investigation into corporate fraud won awards. She'd been promoted twice. When I told her Jason was coming to Lisbon, she said she'd try to plan a trip at the same time. A family reunion in Lisbon. She said that would have been impossible to imagine a year ago. A lot felt impossible a year ago. True, Dad. There's something else. I saw Mom last month. She looks smaller. Not physically, just diminished. She asked about you. If you were happy. What did you tell her? The truth. That you're healthier than you've been in years. That you paint, swim, have friends. That you smile more. Olivia paused. She cried. Said she made bad choices. Said she wishes she'd listened when you asked for therapy. Regret's a tough teacher. It is. But I don't feel sorry for her. Dad. She had chances to choose differently. She chose image. Now she's living with it. Catherine never called again. I'd see her sometimes online. People still sent me links. She posted about new beginnings. Learning from adversity. The comments were mostly quiet. A few supportive voices. Mostly silence. The viral video faded from trending. New scandals replaced it. But it never disappeared. Still there. Searchable. Permanent reminder of choices. And consequences. My heart was strong. My cardiologist in Lisbon told me to keep doing exactly what I was doing. Low stress. Exercise. Good wine. Better company. Painted more. Got better. Not gallery level. But honest. Raw. One painting showed 2 figures walking in opposite directions. One toward chaos. One toward calm. I called it divergence and hung it in my living room. 14 months after I left Catherine, I met someone. Her name was Isabel. 50 years old. Portuguese. She owned a small bookstore near the Alhama district. We met when I walked in looking for English novels. She handed me Portuguese poetry instead. You live here now, she said, her English smooth but accented. You should learn the language of this place. We started with coffee, then dinners, then long walks through neighborhoods she'd known her whole life. She didn't know anything about my past. She didn't Google me, didn't ask a bunch of questions. She just accepted who I was in the present. You seem like someone who's been through something difficult, she told me once. But you made it through. That's what matters. Isabel was a widow. Her husband had passed 5 years earlier. Cancer. She understood loss. Understood what it takes to rebuild. We talked about it like 2 people comparing blueprints. The second time you build something, she said, you do it better, because now you know what actually holds weight. Jason met her when he came to visit. They talked about books for 2 hours straight. That night at dinner, he pulled me aside. She's great, Dad. Nothing like Mom. She actually listens when you talk. She does. Are you happy? I stopped for a second. That was a question I hadn't really asked myself in years. Yeah. I am. Really, I am. Good. You deserve that. Olivia came 2 weeks later. She and Isabel clicked right away. Same kind of direct energy. No pretending. No performance. Just honesty. She's a keeper, Olivia told me. Don't mess it up. I'll try not to. I mean it, Dad. You've got something real here. Something Mom never gave you. A real partnership. 3 months later, Jason called again. He'd been promoted. His firm recognized the change in him. His discipline. His attention to detail. His willingness to question everything. They said I'm the most thorough analyst they have now, he told me, pride in his voice. Because I check everything. I don't take anything at face value anymore. I'm proud of you, son. I learned from you. The hard way. But I learned. Catherine eventually filed for bankruptcy. Between the lawsuits, the debt, and the house underwater, she couldn't recover. Her parents helped her move to Arizona. Far from California. Far from everything tied to what happened. Last I heard, she was working retail. Selling furniture. A long way from luxury real estate. I didn't feel any sense of victory. Just a quiet sadness. For the years that got wasted. For the woman who could have been a partner, but chose to perform instead. Kevin Bradshaw was sentenced to 12 years in federal prison. Investor fraud. Wire fraud. Money laundering. The dealerships were sold off. Victims got back maybe 30 cents on the dollar. One evening, Isabel and I sat on my balcony. The sun was setting over the T's, turning everything shades of amber and rose. She was reading Portuguese poetry out loud, translating it for me as she went. I was sketching her profile. "You know what I love about you," she said suddenly. "Tell me. You're present. Completely present. Not performing. Not thinking 3 steps ahead. Just here. Took me 54 years to get there. Better late than never." She smiled. "Will your kids visit again soon?" "Jason's planning to come for Christmas. Olivia might come for New Year's. They both want to meet your kids. Blended families at our age." She laughed. "My mother would have opinions. Let her. We're building something real. That's what matters." She reached for my hand. We sat there watching the river shift from gold to silver as the sun went down. Ships passed by, heading out to open water. Seabirds called overhead. The city settled into its evening rhythm. I thought about who I used to be, stressed, trapped, slowly breaking down in a beautiful house with a woman who never really saw me. That version of me felt distant now, like someone I'd known, but never fully understood. This version of me, sitting on a balcony in Lisbon, next to a woman who saw me clearly, that was someone I had to fight to become. Someone who chose peace over performance, truth over image, something real over something that just looked good. My phone buzzed. A text from Jason. "Amy said yes. We're engaged. Can we have the wedding in Lisbon? Small. Simple. Just people who matter. You and Isabel could help us plan it." I showed Isabel. She smiled, eyes lighting up. "Tell him yes. Tell him we'd be honored." I typed back. "Congratulations, son. Lisbon sounds perfect. We'll make it beautiful. The right kind of beautiful." His reply came right away. "Thanks, Dad. For everything. For showing me what real strength looks like. I love you." I set my phone down. Looked at Isabel. At the river. At the city I chose. "This is good," I said. "Yes," she said softly. "This is very good." She lost everything she chose over me. Her career. Her reputation. Her life. And I didn't feel anything. Just peace.